Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. On this channel we post writing tips, unboxings, book hauls, book reviews and the occasional vlog. And today I have a writing tips video for you, and as it is October we will be discussing how to write a monster. Before we jump into my top 10 tips on writing monsters, may I draw your attention to my t-shirt. This is my band Wooden Elephants that I'm in with my partner Matt, and we have these t-shirts in orange, we have yellow, we also have, and I'll pop pictures up here, white and black t-shirts. You can find our music on Bandcamp, Spotify, all the usual places. Please do go have a watch, have a listen. I'll pop a link below if you would like to get one of these awesome t-shirts. First of all, what is the definition of a monster? This is the dictionary definition here. A non-human creature so ugly or monstrous as to frighten people. Any creature grotesquely deviating from the normal shape, behaviour or character. A person who provokes horror by wickedness, cruelty, etc. In a sum up, a monster is something living that frightens people. So how will your monster do this? In this video, I'll give you my top 10 tips on how to write a monster in your novel. Before I get into that, don't forget, if you like what you see, to subscribe to this channel. You'll continue to support me a lot, so thank you guys so much. Let's jump straight in with number 1. Psychological, physical, or both? The first thing you need to decide with your monster that you're going to write is what type of monster or horror are you going to use? Is it going to be psychological, which is a lot of Japanese horrors are like this, which is often where it's something a character can't see. It's something that really messes with your mind. These are actually my preferred horrors. I find them a lot more terrifying. Or is it going to be physical, which is often a lot of the spoof horrors are this, or a lot of American horrors where something is physically attacking people. This is the cabin in the woods trope where people are being killed off one by one. It's going to physically be visible to your characters. Or are you going to do both, where it begins psychological and turns physical? This is sort of like the one in the house that's filmed from CCTV footage where you can't see anything, and then there's that one scene where they throw flour and then you see the outline of this demon, and it takes the firstborn male from each generation and kills off family members. What's it called? I'll pop what it is up there. I can't remember. Why can't I remember the name? I remember it terrified my friend Dave when we watched it, because in the room he was sleeping in there was a cupboard, and in, I think it's the second one, Paranormal Activity, that's the one, and I think it's the second one where it drags someone into a cupboard and he was sleeping in a room with a cupboard. I digress. That is psychological turning into physical. So what would you choose? There's also the psychological idea of sending you slowly crazy. What type of monster are you going to write? Number 2, why are they frightening? So what is it that your monster can do that frightens people? Does it kill people? Does it psychologically make people harm themselves? Does it isolate people? What does it do that is so frightening? Number 3, survival. And my biggest advice in this is work backwards. Look at the monster you've created and work out, how would you survive it? Work backwards on this. How are you going to survive? So if your monster is physical and they have, I don't know, they can't climb stairs, you just run upstairs. Work this out and work out how ways that wouldn't work. For example, zombies have morphed from being slow moving to, in 28 days later, being pretty damn fast. That's not what you want. You don't want fast zombies. You can also then tweak your monster's design, like with the zombies, make them faster. Or, not much horror, but in Doctor Who with the Daleks, they can now hover going upstairs. So in the old original Doctor Who, they couldn't go upstairs, so you're pretty fine to survive a Dalek. But in the modern Doctor Who, you're going to have a bit more trouble. A fantastic example is for survival and working backwards and doing this really well is the heart-shaped box, and I'll pop that picture up here. I can't remember who it's by. I think it's Stephen King's son. Fantastic horror. I loved it. Matt's dad loved it. Matt loved it. It's a horror that the character does everything right. You know the cliche in horrors where when you watch them, the characters always do the stupid. And you're like, come on guys, easily could survive this if you just did what you should do. The heart-shaped box, they do everything that you can think of. Mwah! That is survival done well. The author has really worked out what you would sensibly do in these situations and created the monster that makes that not viable or makes that not work. Number 4, physical appearance. Now, if you're going for the full psychological horror, this may not be something you need to think about too much if your characters are never going to see this monster. But if you're going to go for the physical monster, this is very important and high on your priority list. A good thing to think about is how much of the physical aspect of your monster is your character going to see, and how soon or how far through your story is this going to happen. Personally, I prefer horrors where you gradually would get a glimpse. If it's going to be physical, you gradually get glimpses of it and you don't actually know fully what it is until the end. I find that far more fulfilling to read or watch. However, some people like it if you see the monster and it's chasing you down from the very beginning. When you are creating the physical aspect of your monster, really think about what would frighten you. What would you really not want to see? For example, some people are terrified of bugs. So if you're going to do a physical monster and you're scared of bugs, you might make it quite bug-like. If you are scared of clowns, and that is a really popular horror, is making something look like a clown, or dolls as well. A lot of people are scared of dolls and clowns. I think, yeah, their eyes follow you. There's a thing there. Think about what will frighten you and design that. Number 5, backstory. Is your monster going to have killed before? Something I do quite enjoy in a horror is when someone goes somewhere new and all the locals have this myth, this folklore, this tale, or they all act slightly strange in order to stop this historical thing happening again, or even in things like The Wicker Man, doing the historical thing again, and it's like a slow burn. It's almost like a murder mystery to an extent, mixed into a horror, which is a very nice combination. If you're going to have a backstory, what are the locals doing for their safety? What traditions are occurring? What makes it odd? What makes it different? You could also do the trope of, like Frankenstein's monster. Were they man-made? Why did the person make them? What went wrong? What went right? Frankenstein's monster, to be honest, is just a very sad story about Frankenstein, who creates a monster who isn't a monster. Everyone just treats them like utter shit. It's a horror for the heart, in my opinion. But backstory, make sure you know it. You can pop it in to your story, or it can just be for yourself. Make sure you know why or how this monster has occurred. Number 6, type of scare. This will go a little bit into if you've chosen a physical monster or a psychological monster or both. But are you going to do a jump scare? Are you going to do the slow burn where it just gets creepier and creepier? Is it going to be paranoia, shock, disgust? Things like and again, I'll pop a link. I can't remember the names of things, but that one for me is a disgust one where you're just slowly watching people get killed in awful ways and they cannot escape. That is horrible to me. Or the human centipede. Very much in that disgust category. Knowing what type of scare you want to create will help you choose the aspects of your monster and what type of monster you're going to use. So really focus on this. What type of scare are you wanting your audience to go through? Number 7, reader's age. This is greatly important. How old is the audience you are writing for? This will drastically change the type of horror you are writing and also what you're going to put in that horror. For example, probably not advisable, although your kids do as you please, but possibly not a good idea to let little kids watch The Human Centipede. I don't see that going down well. Or different things are scary. For example, from my own life, my dad was obsessed with The Dark Crystal. If you haven't seen that, it's a good movie. All puppets. I used to have nightmares. That thing terrified me. The Skepsies, oh my god, and those massive black beetle things, terrifying. I used to think that was a horror. Watching that as an adult, it's not a horror, it's a fantasy fiction. Sort of just a drama of some extent. But as a child, oh, did that terrify me. So think about the age of your audience. What would scare them? Number 8, test it. I am sure you are utterly sick of this advice because basically, get beta readers, get critique partners, especially ones in the age group you are writing for, and get feedback. Ask them if they're scared. Ask them what works and what doesn't work. You need to see if it's working. It's a horror. You want a physical reaction from your audience. You need to test this. So get beta readers, get critique partners. Check. Are they reacting the way you want them to? Or are they reacting differently? And if they are acting differently, is it a good different or a bad different? An example of an audience acting completely different to how the author wanted them to is in, again, what's it called with the spoons? Oh, hi, Mark. What's it called? Put it up here. But that movie that was supposed to be a drama and everyone laughs at it. It's become a comedy because it's so badly written and acted. It's fantastic. I can't remember what it's called though. Fantastic. If you need something to watch that is utter terrible but so good because it's terrible, that is the one. Again, audience reacted the wrong way to it. However, that has made it a cult classic. So sometimes it can be beneficial. Number 9, research. This goes for any type of writing you're doing, but especially writing where you want a specific response from your reader. Research what works for you. Read a lot of horrors, watch a lot of horrors. What do you gravitate towards? What gives you the feeling you are trying to create in your work? There are different horrors that will stick with you and different horrors that won't. For example, Possession is a horror that you'll rewatch because it's fascinating. It's about the human psyche. It goes into all the different types of possession and how it works. Or is it things like Lights Out, which is one that does come back to me, but not in a scary way because it has a conclusion. It has a way to defeat the monster, but it does kind of stick with me in a weird way anyway. There's different types of horrors, and choose what works for you, because if it works for you, you're likely going to write it better. And finally, number 10, truth. Are you going to create a monster from scratch, or are you going to base your monster on myths or legends? Are you going to use conspiracies? Conspiracies can be really fun to play with, to create horror movies. Is it going to be set around a real event? Is it going to be a retelling of something that happened in history that was unexplained? A bit like The Exorcist, which was based on an actual psychological, it's not research, but an actual person who had, was it like multiple personality disorder, and they honestly did have the devil inside of them and would come out with a voice and things like that. You can base things on real events and turn it into terrifying horrors. Or is it going to be a horror that is futuristic? Is it going to be a premonition of what is going to happen to the human race? That's a lot of what zombie books and films are quite often based on, because it's this futuristic idea of a pandemic, which we have experienced going through now, but a pandemic which turns people into zombies, and that scares people because could it happen? Could it not happen? Who knows? Day After Tomorrow is not a horror, but it's scary. And that's it for my top 10 tips on writing a monster for your book. Now, there are so much more advice that could be given on building a monster. Do comment down below if you have anything else you would love to add to this video to help other people out. What have you found whilst you've been writing your own horror, your own monster? what have you used, or what would you recommend people to avoid? But those are my top 10 tips. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found this video useful. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. If you guys see as soon as I upload, click that little bell down below. You can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook and Tumblr. I post your bookish pictures as well as more tips and unboxings on there. And thanks for watching, guys. Bye!